It's all because of Twitter and Facebook. It is, you know, and you know, it's such a that stuff is such a prominent part of our lives now. And you know what I think has really been the key to the success of Twitter and Facebook has been computers. Especially the internet, I think, is played a huge part. Because, you know, actually, Twitter has been around since the 1800s. It's true. Well, you guys know that because a lot of you are in college, right? So you study history. You know that Twitter's been around forever. In fact, I have a few historic tweets here that I have on my iPhone. And see, it's very convincing because I'm going like this. Yeah, historic tweets. Like, for instance, this one from Teddy Roosevelt. Just charged up San Juan Hill. Winning! And then, you know, some historic tweets are surprising. Like, I'm very fascinated with writers' tweets. And, like I always considered Oscar Wilde, you know, to be one of the wittiest and most erudite writers of all time. So I was a little surprised by his tweet. Ooh-wee, I sure do love me some anal sex. I really expected something different. Here's one from Abraham Lincoln. Yeah. Okay, you're not familiar with him, but so here's one from Abraham Lincoln. Headed out to the theater tonight. Oh, now wait a minute. He went to the theater more than once. Don't jump to conclusions. Headed out to the theater. I need a night at the theater like I need a hole in the head. What, too soon? Looks like we have a lot of Stephen Douglas supporters. Those are the kind of up-to-date references that have made me the success I am today. That's how I gamble when I've been made up. I do jokes about people from 100 years ago. Well, if you like this, you'll love this one. This one is from Anne Frank. Well, wait till I read it to you, movie. Hold off. This is actually one of her most famous lines that was a tweet. All in all, deep down, I still think people are basically good at heart. And then there's hashtag sarcasm. But going on in Reno, you know what's big here now, I've heard, is casinos. But, you know what, there was, and they have a lot of conventions in town here. Did you know there was a cat show here recently? Anyone go to it? No, because you made it up, Frank. No, have you ever been to a cat show, ever? You desperately lonely people? Anyway, but, because I have two cats and I love them, you know. But people who go to cat shows are really into cats. I mean, they're really into cats. You know, like they have T-shirts that they market to appeal to them, you know, say stuff like, I heart my cat, and cats make perfect pets, and my parents really did a number on me. I actually just moved recently, and I lived in the same apartment for years, and I had my two cats have been living in this one apartment for like 7 of those years, and so I had to move them to a new apartment. It was very traumatic for them, and you know, they were like crying and they were really upset, and I felt so bad for them, you know. And then I thought, well, but you know what? I've provided you with a safe, secure place for 7 years, and now there's this thing going on that what I'm saying is basically they can kiss my ass. Because, you know, I mean, I felt bad for them when they're crying, you know. But when I'm crying, they don't show the same sympathy for me. You know, because in my apartment, you know, they've seen me frequently sitting on my couch, like sobbing uncontrollably. Mainly because I'm an adult who sits at cats. And they're all like, you know, and they're like having an emotional meltdown, and they're like, so are we eating soon or what? But I actually have a thing that I wanted to share with you, because I don't know if you're familiar with this poet, Rilke, I think you pronounce his name. He wrote this very famous book called Letters to a Young Poet, which people are very inspired by. It's a very inspiring book, and he's written a lot of poems, and he wrote a few McHale's Navy episodes, you know, so he's very... But I was kind of influenced by that book, Letters to a Young Poet, so being in Reno, too, like, I noticed there's a lot of self-destructive behavior going on. It's a matter of course, you know. And I was a very self-destructive when I was very young, so I've actually written some letters to myself when I was young. It's called Letters to a Young Frank, or Letters to a Young Me, and so I'm going to read some of them for you. Here's the first one. Dear Young Frank, first of all, please don't get so heavily involved with booze and drugs. You will regret it. And then here's the really strange thing. The young me wrote back. The young me wrote back, Dear old Frank, wow, getting messages from my older self is so trippy. This acid that I'm on is great. I'm going to take more of it. And then I wrote back, Dear young Frank, don't just single-mindedly pursue a show business career. The most important thing in life is friendship and relationships. And then I wrote back, Dear old Frank, that's great advice. From now on, I'm going to pursue relationships with people that can help my career. And then I wrote back, Dear young Frank, I really thought that joke would go over bigger. And no. And then then I wrote, Dear young Frank, speaking of my career, because of my age, I'm having a hard time getting work in Hollywood. I need to team up with a younger writer. So would you be willing to collaborate on a screenplay with me? And then my younger self wrote back, Dear old Frank, sure thing. And I've got a great idea for a comedy starring Judge Reinhold. Also, there's a great part for Ali Sheedy. That was back in the 80s. I wrote back, Dear young Frank, look, the most important thing I want to convey to you is that life is precious. Treasure every moment. Enjoy the journey of life, and it will take you on a path to enlightenment. Then I wrote back, Dear old Frank, so when I get older and sober up, I'll be spouting dumbass New Age crap. That's what I have to look forward to. Maybe I should just blow my freaking brains out right now. Like, Dear young Frank, you know what? You are a very smug and arrogant young man. Maybe you should just end it all. Dear old Frank, okay, maybe I will just eat a bullet. Dear young Frank, okay, go ahead, asshole, do it. Dear old Frank, okay, I will. Dear young Frank, well, what are you waiting for? Dear old Frank, I'm going to do it, man. Dear young Frank, go ahead, do it. Dear old Frank, I'm going to do it. Dear young Frank, do it. Dear old Frank, I'm going to do it. Dear young Frank, do it. Dear old Frank, bang, plop. Dear young Frank, well, I must say I'm quite impressed that as you were blowing your brains out, you also managed to write down bang and flop. I was quite a resourceful young man in those days, wasn't I? Despite all the trials and tribulations of my youth, I was still able to write and kill myself at the same time. I guess that's why I turned out to be such a survivor. Thank you very much.
Excellent, Frank.
Great pleasure to bring out a great friend of mine, one of the most brilliantly funny people there is, period. Trace, you!